No music, only wind. A wind that does not howl, it whispers. A wind that has crossed the frozen Danube, cut through the dark pine forests of Germania, and found its way into a tent made of leather and wood. The creak of canvas, the snap of a dying fire, the distant, muffled voices of sentries, speaking Latin with the rough accent of Pannonia. Then breathing, not calm, not peaceful, the breathing of a man whose lungs are filling with something that is not air. A wet, shallow rasp, each breath shorter than the last. The tent is not what you'd expect. No gold, no marble, no silk. A single oil lamp hangs from a wooden pole, casting shadows that dance like ghosts against the leather walls. The floor is packed dirt, covered with a worn bearskin. A folding stool, a campaign desk, a simple wooden board resting on crossed legs. Wax tablets scattered like fallen leaves. A man sits on the stool. He is 58 years old, though he looks 70. His beard is long and white, not the carefully groomed philosopher's beard of his portraits, but matted, tangled, stained with the smoke of 1,000 campfires. His eyes, gray-green, the color of the sea before a storm, are fixed on the flame. This is Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, ruler of 70 million souls, commander of the largest army on earth. And he is dying. He wears a rough woolen cloak, the paennula of a common soldier. Beneath it, a tunic stained with mud and sweat. His fingers, long, elegant, once used to hold scrolls of Greek philosophy, now tremble as they grip a bronze stylus. He looks at the wax tablet before him. The surface is scratched, reused, scarred with words written and smoothed and written again. He has been writing to himself for 11 years. In Greek, in the dark, in the cold. He dips the stylus. The wax is soft from the lamp's heat. You have lived as a citizen in a great city, he writes. 5 years or 100, what is the difference? The laws make no distinction, and to be sent away from it, not by a tyrant or a dishonest judge, but by nature, who first invited you in. Why is that so terrible? He pauses. His hand hovers. Outside, a wolf howls, close, too close. The sentries shout. Footsteps crunch on frozen snow. Marcus does not look up. He has heard wolves before. He has heard worse. He thinks of his wife, Faustina, dead 5 years now. But in his mind, she is always 25, always laughing at some private joke, always touching his arm when he spoke too long at dinner. He thinks of her hands, small, always cold, always reaching for his warmth. He thinks of his children, the ones who lived, the ones who died, the small bodies wrapped in linen, placed in the family mausoleum on the Via Appia. He thinks of the twins, born together, died together, their faces already fading from his memory like ink on wet papyrus. He thinks of Rome, the city he has not seen in 8 years, the city that believes he is still its master, still its father, still its God. The city does not know he is dying. If it knew, the Senate would already be choosing sides. The Praetorian Guard would already be selling the throne to the highest bidder. The Germanic tribes beyond the river, the Marcomanni, the Quadi, the Iazyges, would already be sharpening their swords for the spring thaw. He thinks of his son, Commodus, 19 years old, beautiful, athletic, restless, asleep in the tent next door, dreaming, Marcus knows, of gladiators and lions and the roar of a crowd that loves him not because he is wise, but because he is young. The stylus moves again. Like the officer who engaged a comic actor and now dismisses him from the stage, he writes. But I have not played my 5 acts, only 3. True, but in life, 3 acts can be the whole play. His hand stops. The stylus falls from his fingers. It hits the dirt floor with a sound so soft it is almost swallowed by the wind. A guard steps forward from the shadows. A young man, 20, maybe 22, with a face that has not yet learned to hide its fear. He has stood watch over the emperor for 3 years. He has seen this man eat the same hard bread as the legionaries. He has seen this man sleep on the same cold ground. He has seen this man, the most powerful human being in the world, weep over a letter from his daughter. The guard kneels. Caesar? Marcus looks up. His eyes focus with difficulty, as if the guard is standing at the far end of a tunnel. The sun, he says. He gestures weakly toward the tent flap. Through the leather, the first gray light of a March morning seeps in, not golden, not warm, but the pale, exhausted light of a winter that refuses to end. Go to the rising sun, Marcus says. I am already setting. The guard does not understand. He leans closer, his ear almost touching the emperor's lips. Tell him, Marcus whispers. Tell him to be better than he thinks he can be. The guard nods, though he does not know who him is. Commodus? The gods? Himself? Marcus closes his eyes. Not in pain, in acceptance. The Stoic's final act, to welcome what cannot be refused. The lamp flickers. The flame shrinks. The wind outside rises, as if the world itself is drawing a breath. And then, silence. The guard does not move. He does not call for a physician. He knows. He has seen death before, on battlefields, in plague tents, in the frozen mud of the Danube. But he has never seen it like this. So quiet, so small, so ordinary. The Emperor of Rome has died like a soldier, in a tent, in the cold, alone with his thoughts. The guard reaches out. He closes Marcus's eyes with 2 fingers, a gesture he learned from his mother, who learned it from her mother, who learned it from a world before Rome existed. He picks up the wax tablet. He cannot read Greek. He does not know that he holds the final words of the most private book ever written by the most public man who ever lived. He places the tablet on the campaign desk. He steps outside. The camp stretches for miles, a city of leather and wood, built on the frozen plain where the Danube meets the Morava. Smoke rises from 10,000 fires. Soldiers move between tents, their breath clouding in the bitter air. The standards of the legions, the eagle of the 10th Gemina, the bull of the 14th Gemina, stand stiff in the wind, their bronze gleaming dully under a sky the color of old iron. The guard walks through the mud, past the praetorium, past the hospital tents where the plague victims still cough and burn, past the granaries where the last of the winter wheat is rationed by the ounce. He reaches a tent larger than the others, hung with purple. He stops. He does not want to enter. He does not want to speak the words he must speak. But he is a soldier, and soldiers do their duty. He pulls back the flap. Commodus, 19 years old, golden-haired, his body hardened by hunting and military training, sits on a cushioned couch, eating figs from a silver bowl. A slave holds a mirror so he can admire his profile. Another slave warms his wine. The guard falls to his knees. Caesar, he says, your father, the Emperor Marcus. He has gone to the gods. Commodus looks up. A fig is halfway to his lips. He freezes. For a moment, just a moment, something flickers in his eyes. Not grief, exactly. Not joy, either. Something more complicated. Something like relief, mixed with terror, mixed with the dizzying realization that the world has just become his, entirely his, with no one left to tell him no. The fig falls. The music begins. Not trumpets, not drums, a single cello, a note of mourning that stretches across 2,000 years. Rome, 121 AD. But not the Rome of your imagination. Not the Rome of crumbling columns and tourist crowds. This is Rome alive, Rome breathing, Rome at the absolute peak of its power, a city of 1 million souls, the largest metropolis on earth, the beating heart of an empire that stretches from the misty highlands of Scotland to the sun-baked deserts of Syria, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Euphrates River. The 7 hills rise from the Tiber River like the vertebrae of a giant. The Palatine, where emperors live in palaces that would make modern billionaires weep with envy. The Capitoline, where the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus stands, the largest temple in the empire, its roof covered in gilt bronze that catches the morning sun and throws it across the city like a blessing. The Aventine, where the plebeians crowd into apartment blocks 6 stories high, their laundry hanging from windows like prayer flags. The Celian, where the old aristocratic families maintain their ancestral homes behind walls of red brick and gardens of cypress and myrtle. The Colosseum does not exist yet. In its place, the site is being cleared, Nero's lake drained, his golden house demolished, the ground being prepared for what will become the greatest amphitheater ever built. But the Romans do not know this. They know only that their city is eternal, their empire invincible, their gods generous. The Pax Romana, the Roman peace, has lasted for almost a century. The last civil war ended before anyone alive was born. The legions have not fought each other in 3 generations. The Mediterranean, the Mare Nostrum, our sea, is a Roman lake, patrolled by fleets that ensure no pirate dares raise a sail. Trade flows from India to Britain, from Morocco to the Black Sea. A merchant in Alexandria can sell silk from China to a senator in Rome, and the transaction is protected by Roman law, Roman roads, and Roman arms. But look closer. The Senate, that once proud body of statesmen who overthrew kings, who defied tyrants, who built the republic, has become a theater. Senators still wear the toga praetexta, the purple-bordered garment of their office. They still meet in the Curia Julia, that beautiful building of brick and marble designed by Julius Caesar himself. They still make speeches. They still vote. But everyone knows the truth. The emperor is the state. The Senate is decoration. The army, the iron backbone of Rome, the force that conquered Gaul, crushed Carthage, humbled Greece, has grown soft on frontiers that have been quiet too long. The legions are still feared, yes. Their standards, the silver eagles, still inspire terror in barbarian hearts. But the veterans who remember real war are dying off. The new recruits have never seen a battle. They have never watched a comrade fall. They have never felt the particular terror of a Germanic war cry rising from a fog-shrouded forest. And in the shadows, something is changing. In the east, beyond the Euphrates, the Parthian Empire watches. Its cavalry, armored in chain mail, armed with compound bows that can pierce a Roman shield at 200 yards, has not forgotten the humiliations of the past. They wait. They prepare. They know that peace is only a pause between wars. In the north, beyond the Rhine and the Danube, tribes are migrating. The Marcomanni, the Quadi, the Lombards, the Iazyges, pushed by forces they do not understand, climate changes they cannot name, population pressures they cannot articulate, they move south and west toward borders they cannot resist testing. The Roman frontier is a line drawn in the dirt, and the dirt is shifting. In the cities, a new religion called Christianity is spreading among the poor and the desperate. The old gods, Jupiter, Mars, Minerva, Venus, still have their temples, their priests, their festivals. But fewer people believe they are listening. The temples are full of smoke and incense, but empty of genuine faith. Philosophy, Stoicism, Epicureanism, Platonism has become the real religion of the educated classes, not because it promises heaven, but because it promises peace. Rome is a golden cage, and the cage is rusting. But on this particular morning, April the 26th, in the year 121, none of this matters. Because on the Celian Hill, in a villa with a view of the Circus Maximus, a woman is giving birth. The room is dark, despite the morning light. The windows are shuttered against the spring air. Roman medicine believes that fresh air is dangerous to new mothers. The only light comes from oil lamps that cast a yellow glow across painted walls, frescoes of garden scenes, of nymphs and satyrs, of the Greek myths that every educated Roman knows by heart. Domitia Lucilla lies on a birthing chair, her body slick with sweat, her hair plastered to her forehead. She is 24 years old, beautiful even in exhaustion, her eyes the color of dark honey. She is one of the richest women in Rome. Her family owns brick factories across Italy, estates in Etruria, mines in Spain. But right now, she is only a woman in pain, doing what women have done since the world began. A midwife, an old Greek woman with hands like twisted oak, holds the newborn. She wipes the blood and mucus from his face. She checks his breathing. She smiles. "A boy," she says. "Strong lungs. He will live." Lucilla reaches out. Her fingers touch the infant's cheek, soft, impossibly soft, like rose petals. The baby opens his eyes. They are gray-green, the color of the Tiber on a cloudy day. The midwife wraps him in a linen swaddling cloth, not the rough wool of the poor, but fine Egyptian linen, soft as a cloud. She hands him to his mother. Lucilla holds him. She does not speak. She only looks with an intensity that says she already knows something the rest of the world will take decades to learn, that this child is not like other children, that he carries a weight he has not yet been told about, that he will need her strength more than any son has ever needed a mother. Outside, a bird sings, a thrush, perhaps, or a nightingale. The sound drifts through the shutters, and the baby turns his head toward it, his first act of curiosity, his first reaching toward the world. His name will be Marcus Annius Verus, the name of his father, the name of his grandfather, the name of a line of senators and consuls stretching back to the Republic. But history will know him by a different name. Marcus Aurelius, the Golden One, the Philosopher, the last good man. And on this morning, in this room, on this hill, he is simply a baby crying for his mother's breast, unaware that the empire is waiting for him, that the gods have already placed their bet, that the golden cage is about to close around him forever. 3 years later, the same villa, the same garden, but the mood has changed. The cypress trees that line the path are draped in black cloth. The doors are closed. The slaves move on silent feet, their faces averted from the master's grief. Marcus Annius Verus, the father, is dead. He was a praetor, a high-ranking magistrate, a man of old Roman virtue who believed that character was carved, not inherited. He was 35 years old. He died not in battle, not in the Senate, but in his bed, probably of a fever, possibly of something worse. Ancient medicine cannot name it. Ancient medicine cannot cure it. And now, in the atrium of the villa, a 3-year-old boy stands alone. He wears a child's tunic, white, with a narrow purple stripe that marks his senatorial rank even at this age. His hair is blonde. It will darken later, but for now it catches the sun like a halo. His eyes, those gray-green eyes, are fixed on the beer that has been set up in the center of the room. He does not cry. He does not understand. He only knows that the man lying on the bier, the man wrapped in white linen, the man with coins on his eyes, the man who will not wake up no matter how loudly the priests chant, was supposed to teach him how to be a man, was supposed to hold his hand when he crossed the street, was supposed to lift him onto his shoulders during the games, so he could see the chariots race around the Circus Maximus. And now that man is gone. Marcus's grandfather, the elder Marcus Annius Verus, stands behind the boy, his hand resting on the child's shoulder. The old man is 60, his face carved by decades of Senate debates and legal judgments. He wears the toga of a consul, the highest honor Rome can bestow. He has buried his own son, and now he must raise his son's son. He kneels. He turns the boy to face him. "Marcus, look at me," he says. "Your father was a good man, a just man, a man who never took a bribe, never told a lie, never raised his hand in anger. And now he has gone to join the gods. But he left you something. Do you know what it is?" The boy shakes his head. "He left you his name," the grandfather says. "And his name is not just letters. It is a promise that you will be what he was, that you will do what he would have done, that you will live, not for yourself, but for Rome, for your family, for the gods who watch us always." The boy does not speak. He is 3 years old. He does not know what Rome means. He does not know what gods mean. He knows only that his father's hand is cold and his grandfather's hand is warm, and he wants to hold that warmth forever. He reaches up. He takes his grandfather's finger in his small fist. He holds it tight, and in that gesture, that desperate, childish clinging, is the seed of everything Marcus Aurelius will become. A man who holds on, a man who endures, a man who refuses to let go, even when the world tries to tear everything away. The funeral banquet, the Silicernium, the meal eaten beside the tomb, where the dead are believed to share the food. The family gathers in the triclinium, the dining room, reclining on couches arranged in a U shape. Slaves bring plates of lentils, the food of mourning, and wine mixed with water, because unmixed wine is for celebration, not grief. Domitia Lucilla sits apart from the men. In Roman custom, women do not recline at dinner. They sit upright, on chairs, their presence required but their participation limited. She is 27 years old, a widow, a mother, and a woman who has just made a decision that will shock the Roman aristocracy. She will not remarry. This is unheard of. In the Roman elite, widows remarry. It is expected. It is practical. A young, beautiful, wealthy widow is the most valuable commodity in the marriage market. She could have a consul. She could have a governor. She could have any man in Rome. But Lucilla is not a practical woman. She is educated, fluent in Greek, steeped in philosophy, able to quote Homer and Euripides as easily as she orders her household. She is independent. Her family wealth gives her a power that most Roman women can only dream of. And she is devoted, not to the idea of marriage, but to the reality of her son. She will raise Marcus herself, not in the Roman way, where boys are sent to tutors at 7, to military training at 16, to the Senate at 25. She will raise him in the Greek way, where a mother is a child's first philosopher, where learning begins at the breast, where wisdom is passed down through conversation rather than lecture. She hires the best tutors. She fills the villa with scrolls. She teaches him to read Greek before Latin, because Greek is the language of philosophy, and she has decided, already, at 3, that her son will be a philosopher. Not an emperor, not a general, not a politician, a philosopher. She does not know that history has other plans. Marcus is 7 years old. He sits under a plane tree, a scroll of Homer's Iliad open on his lap. He is not reading it. He is staring at an ant. The ant is carrying a crumb of bread, a crumb larger than its own body, across the garden path. It struggles. It falls. It rights itself. It continues. Marcus watches with the intensity that only children possess. The intensity that sees the world not as background, but as foreground. Not as decoration, but as drama. His tutor, a Greek freedman named Euphorion, stands nearby, holding a switch for discipline, but using it only to scratch his own back. The Iliad, young master, he says. We are meant to be reading of Achilles and Hector, not watching insects. But Master Euphorion, Marcus says, the ant is stronger than Achilles. Achilles needed the gods to help him. The ant needs only its own legs. Euphorion laughs, a surprised, delighted laugh. He has taught many noble boys. Most of them are lazy, arrogant, interested only in horses and hunting. This one is different. And what does that teach you? He asks. That small things can be strong, Marcus says. That strength does not need to be loud. That, he pauses. He is 7. He does not have the words yet, but he feels the truth in his bones, like a vibration. That I should be like the ant, not like Achilles. Achilles was angry. The ant is just doing its work. Euphorion stares at him. He has never heard a child speak this way. He makes a note to himself, to tell the boy's mother, to tell his grandfather, to tell anyone who will listen that this child is not ordinary. But he does not tell them, because he knows, with the intuition of a slave who has survived by reading his masters, that extraordinariness is dangerous, that the gods do not love those who stand out, that it is safer to be the ant than the lion. He keeps his silence, and Marcus keeps watching the ant, learning his first lesson in stoicism, though neither of them knows the word yet. Marcus is 12 years old. The room is small, smaller than a boy of his rank should have. His grandfather has offered him the grand chamber with the mosaic floor and the view of the gardens. Marcus has refused it. He sleeps on the floor, not on a bed, not on a mattress, on the bare tiles, with only a rough woolen cloak, the pallium, the garment of a Greek philosopher, for warmth. He has read that philosophers sleep on hard surfaces to train their bodies to endure discomfort. He has decided, at 12, that comfort is the enemy of wisdom. His mother enters. She carries a lamp. She sees him on the floor, shivering in the March cold, and her face, that beautiful, composed face, cracks with something between love and exasperation. Marcus, you will catch your death, she says. Then I will die a philosopher, he says. She does not laugh. She does not punish him. She does something extraordinary, something that will shape the rest of his life. She compromises. She has a bed made of animal skins, rough, warm, but still harder than a proper mattress, placed in his room. She sits beside him on the floor, her silk stola pooling around her, and she takes his hand. Tell me, she says. Why the floor? Why the cloak? Why this performance? It is not a performance, mother, he says. It is practice. The body must be trained, like a muscle. If I sleep soft now, I will not be able to sleep hard when I must. If I eat rich food now, I will not be able to eat plain food when there is no choice. He stops. He is 12. He is trying to sound like the philosophers he has read about, but his voice cracks. His hands tremble. He is cold. He is tired. He is scared. You are trying to be strong before you need to be strong, she says. He nods. She pulls him close. She wraps her own cloak, fine wool, dyed purple, around his shoulders. There is wisdom in that, she says. But there is also foolishness. A tree that bends does not break. A muscle that rests grows stronger. And a boy who does not sleep does not learn. She gestures to the new bed. Sleep on the skins, she says. They are hard enough to build discipline, soft enough to let you live. And tomorrow, I will find you a teacher who can explain why you feel this need. A real teacher, not a tutor who teaches letters, but a philosopher who teaches life. Marcus looks at her. In the lamplight, she is not just his mother. She is his first philosopher, his first stoic. The woman who taught him that strength and gentleness are not opposites, but partners. He crawls onto the skins. He pulls the rough cloak over himself. He closes his eyes. And for the first time in weeks, he sleeps without shivering. The next years pass in a blur of learning. Marcus, now a teenager, his body growing tall and thin, his face taking on the serious expression that will define his adult portraits, moves through the city like a ghost. He studies rhetoric with Diognetus, a painter who teaches him to see the world clearly, to observe not just what things look like, but what they are. Diognetus shows him magic tricks, exposes the frauds of fortune tellers and soothsayers, teaches him that the supernatural is simply the natural misunderstood. He studies literature with Euphorion, who introduces him to the Greek tragedies, Euripides, Sophocles, Aeschylus. Marcus weeps at the death of Hector. He rages at the hubris of Creon. He learns that the greatest stories are not about victory, but about suffering. He studies philosophy with an unnamed tutor, perhaps a Stoic, perhaps a Platonist, who teaches him the rudiments of logic, ethics, and physics. The world is material. The soul is reason. The gods are not beings who intervene in human affairs, but the rational principle that orders the universe. But the most important education happens outside the classroom. Marcus learns to watch his grandfather. The old consul, now in his 70s, his back bent, his hands spotted with age, still wakes before dawn. He still walks to the Senate House. He still listens to cases, renders judgments, refuses bribes. He does not complain about his age. He does not retire to the country. He works until his body fails him, and then he works some more. Marcus learns to watch his mother. Lucilla manages estates in Etruria, factories in Latium, investments across the empire. She meets with architects, negotiates with contractors, reviews accounts. She does all this while maintaining the social obligations of a Roman matron, hosting dinners, attending religious festivals, managing a household of 50 slaves. She never raises her voice. She never shows fatigue. She is a machine of grace and competence. And Marcus learns to watch himself. He keeps a journal, not the meditations, not yet, but a boy's notebook of observations. He writes about his anger when a slave spills wine. He writes about his envy when a cousin receives a better gift. He writes about his fear of death, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. And he writes about his attempts to control these feelings, to master them, to become the kind of man who is not ruled by emotion. He is 14 years old, and he is already an old man in a young man's body. The Villa Adriana, Hadrian's country estate, is the most magnificent private residence in the Roman world. It covers 300 acres. It contains replicas of the most famous buildings from across the empire, a copy of the Stoa Poikile from Athens, a replica of the Canopus from Egypt, a temple to Serapis that rivals the original in Alexandria. Hadrian has traveled more than any emperor before him. He has seen the world, and he has brought the world home. But today, the villa is quiet. The fountains have been turned off. The peacocks have been caged. The slaves move on bare feet, speaking in whispers. Because Hadrian is dying. The emperor, 60 years old, his beard grown long in the Greek fashion, his body ravaged by heart disease and whatever else ancient medicine cannot name, sits in a wheelchair of his own design. He is in the Maritime Theater, a circular island surrounded by a moat, connected to the mainland by a drawbridge. It is his private retreat, the place where he goes when he does not want to be emperor. He has a problem that has haunted him for years. He has no son. For a century, Rome has solved the succession problem through adoption. Nerva adopted Trajan. Trajan adopted Hadrian. It is a system that works because it chooses merit over birth. But Hadrian's chosen heir, a handsome young man named Lucius Aurelius, has just died of tuberculosis. Hadrian is running out of time, and he is running out of options. He summons a senator named Antoninus Pius. Antoninus, 51 years old, his face round and calm, his eyes the color of warm earth, enters the Maritime Theater. He is not a military man. He is not a philosopher. He is not a builder or a traveler or a poet. He is something rarer. He is reliable, steady, boring even. In a court of geniuses and madmen, Antoninus is the man who files his taxes on time. Hadrian looks at him, and in that look, there is something almost frightening. The desperation of a dying man who knows that his legacy depends on this single choice. Antoninus, he says, I will make you my heir. I will adopt you as my son. You will be emperor after me. Antoninus does not react. He does not smile. He does not weep. He simply nods, the nod of a man who has spent his life accepting responsibility without complaint. I am honored, Caesar, he says, but I am old. I have no military experience. I have never left Italy. Are you certain? I am certain of one thing, Hadrian says. Rome does not need another conqueror. It needs a father. And you are the most fatherly man I know. Antoninus bows his head, but Hadrian is not finished. There is a condition, he says. Name it, says Antoninus. You must adopt 2 boys, Hadrian says. Marcus Annius Verus, the grandson of my friend Marcus Annius Verus. He is 15. And Lucius, the son of the dead Aurelius. He is 7. Antoninus pauses. He knows what this means. He knows that Hadrian is not just choosing an heir. He is choosing a dynasty. He is betting that Marcus and Lucius, so different in age, so different in temperament, will rule together, as Hadrian and Antoninus will rule in spirit. I accept, Antoninus says. Hadrian closes his eyes. He has arranged the pieces. He has set the board. Now he can die in peace, or as close to peace as a man like Hadrian ever gets. But he is not done. He opens his eyes. He gestures to his slave. Bring the boy, he says. The slave leaves, returns, and behind him, Marcus. He is 15 years old, tall for his age, thin, his face serious beyond his years. He wears a white toga, the toga praetexta of a boy who has not yet reached manhood. His hands are clasped in front of him. His eyes are fixed on the ground, not from fear, but from the stoic discipline his tutors have already instilled. Hadrian looks at him, and in that look, there is something almost prophetic, the weight of expectation, the burden of a world that needs saving. "Marcus Annius Verus," he says, "do you know why you are here?" "I am told that you wish to see me, Caesar," Marcus says. "I wish to see the future," Hadrian says. "And you are the future." Marcus looks up. For the first time, he meets the emperor's eyes. And what he sees there terrifies him. Not cruelty, not madness, but hope. Desperate, dying hope. "I have arranged your adoption by Antoninus," Hadrian says. "Under your new name, Marcus Aelius Aurelius Verus, you are now my grandson. You are now the heir to the throne. Do you understand what that means?" Marcus does not answer. He understands. He has understood since he was old enough to read history. The Roman throne is not inherited. It is seized or earned or given. And now it is being given to him, a boy who wants nothing more than to sit in a library and read Epictetus. I must believe, Hadrian says, that I am giving mankind its only chance to realize Plato's dream, to see a philosopher pure of heart ruling over his fellow men. Do not disappoint me, Marcus. Do not disappoint the world. Marcus falls to his knees. Not in worship. Stoics do not worship men, but in the weight of a burden he never asked for and cannot refuse. I will try, Caesar, he says. I will try with every fiber of my being. Hadrian reaches out. His hand, spotted, trembling, the hand of a dying god, rests on Marcus's head. That is all any of us can do, he says. Try. Marcus walks alone through the gardens. The moon is full. The replicas of foreign temples glow white in the lunar light. He passes the Canopus, its stagnant water reflecting the stars. He passes the temple of Serapis, its columns casting shadows like bars. He is 15 years old, and he is trapped. He has spent his life preparing for philosophy, for withdrawal, for the quiet study of wisdom in a garden somewhere, far from the noise of politics and war. And now, in a single afternoon, in a single conversation, that future has been stolen from him. He finds a bench. He sits. He pulls out a small wax tablet, the kind students use for notes, and he writes. Not in Greek, the language of philosophy. In Latin, the language of law and empire. I did not ask for this, he writes. I do not want this, but I will accept it, because Stoicism teaches that we cannot choose what happens to us. We can only choose how we respond. And my response, my only response, must be virtue. He looks up at the moon. It is the same moon that shines on the philosophers in Athens. The same moon that shines on the soldiers on the Rhine. The same moon that will shine on his deathbed 43 years from now in a frozen tent on the Danube. He does not know this, but he feels it. The weight of time, the inevitability of fate, the strange, terrible beauty of a life that has already been written and that he must now live. He stands. He walks back toward the villa where his new father, Antoninus Pius, waits with open arms and a closed heart. The adoption will be formalized on February the 25th, 138 AD. Hadrian will die 5 months later. Antoninus will become emperor, and Marcus, now called Marcus Aelius Aurelius Verus Caesar, will begin the long, slow process of becoming the man history needs him to be, whether he wants to or not. Rome, 138 to 161 AD. The reign of Antoninus Pius, 23 years of peace, prosperity, and almost unbearable stability. No major wars, no political crises, no scandals, just calm. For Marcus, these years are a strange limbo. He is Caesar, the crown prince, the heir apparent, the next emperor. But he is also a student, a young man trying to become wise before he becomes powerful. And he knows, with the certainty of a philosopher, that power without wisdom is the most dangerous force in the world. He studies. Oh, how he studies! The library of Apollodorus is a private collection, one of the finest in Rome. Shelves of cedar would line the walls, holding thousands of scrolls, Greek philosophy, Roman history, Egyptian mathematics, Babylonian astronomy. The air smells of old papyrus, cedar oil, and the beeswax used to seal the scrolls against moisture. Marcus, now 19, his beard beginning to grow, his body still thin but stronger from daily exercise, sits at a reading desk. A scroll of Epictetus's discourses is open before him. He reads with a focus that makes the other students nervous. They chat, they flirt, they daydream. Marcus reads as if his life depends on it, because it does. His tutor stands nearby, Apollonius of Chalcedon, a Stoic philosopher who has come to Rome specifically to teach the young Caesar. Apollonius is in his 50s, his face severe, his eyes sharp as a hawk's. He wears the philosopher's cloak, rough, undyed wool, and he carries a staff that he uses more for gesturing than for walking. "Read it again," he says. The passage about the dinner party. Marcus reads aloud, his Greek accent perfect, the result of years of study with the best tutors in the empire. When you are invited to a dinner party, remember that you are being tested, he reads. The host offers you the place of honor. Will you take it, knowing it belongs to another? The guest beside you speaks ill of a friend. Will you join in, knowing slander poisons the soul? The wine is poured. Will you drink to excess, knowing that drunkenness is the enemy of reason? And what does Epictetus teach us? Apollonius asks. That every moment is a test, Marcus says. That virtue is not a single act, but a habit. That we must practice philosophy not in the schoolroom, but in the dining room, the bedroom, the Senate house, the battlefield. Good, Apollonius says, but incomplete. Epictetus teaches us something more, something harder. He teaches us that we are not tested by external events, but by our own reactions. The dinner party does not test you. You test yourself. The question is not what will I do, but who will I be? Marcus nods. He writes the words in his notebook, a habit he will maintain for the rest of his life. But Apollonius is not finished. He leans close, his voice dropping to a whisper. And Marcus, he says, remember this. When you are emperor, every dinner party will be a test. Every gift will be a bribe. Every compliment will be a lie. Every friend will be a potential enemy. The throne does not make you wise. It makes you visible. And visibility is the most dangerous thing for a soul that seeks virtue. Marcus looks up. In Apollonius's eyes, he sees not just a teacher, but a warning. The palace of Antoninus Pius is not the grand imperial residence you might imagine. Antoninus is famously modest. He does not build. He does not spend. He does not parade. He lives in the same house he owned before becoming emperor, a comfortable but not extravagant villa on the Palatine Hill. Marcus lives there too. As Caesar, he has his own apartments, a bedroom, a study, a small dining room. But he spends most of his time in the library, or in the gardens, or walking through the city in disguise, observing the people he will one day rule. Tonight, however, he is in his study. A letter lies open on his desk. It is from Marcus Cornelius Fronto, the greatest orator in Rome, perhaps the greatest orator of the age. Fronto is Marcus's rhetoric tutor, a man of immense charm, immense vanity, and immense talent. He loves Marcus with a love that is part paternal, part professional, part something else that neither man can name. Marcus reads the letter aloud, his voice soft, intimate. "I have just read your letter," it says. "You complain of a pain in your chest, a difficulty in breathing, a weariness of spirit. My dear Marcus, you are 20 years old. You should be hunting, drinking, chasing girls. Instead, you write to me about your health as if you were an old man. What are you doing to yourself?" Marcus smiles. He picks up his stylus. He writes a response. "My dear Fronto," he writes, "I do not hunt because I do not wish to kill for pleasure. I do not drink because I do not wish to lose my reason. I do not chase girls because, well, because I am betrothed to Faustina, and even if I were not, I would not know how to begin. I am an old man in a young man's body, and I fear I always will be. But your letter warms me more than any fire. Write again, write always. Your words are the only luxury I allow myself." He seals the letter. He does not call for a slave to deliver it. He carries it himself through the dark corridors of the palace to the chamber where Fronto sleeps when he stays at court. He places it on the pillow. He does not wake his teacher. He only stands for a moment, watching the old man sleep. Fronto's face relaxed, his mouth slightly open, his hair, dyed black, because vanity dyes hard, spread across the linen. And then Marcus leaves, closing the door softly, returning to his study and his books and his endless, exhausting attempt to be good. Marcus is 24 years old. He walks through the Subura, the crowded, chaotic neighborhood where the poor live, where the shops sell everything from sausages to fortune-telling, where the smells of urine, cooking oil, and unwashed bodies create a perfume that is uniquely Roman. He is not in disguise today. He wears the toga of a senator, white, with a broad purple stripe, because he is on official business. He is inspecting the grain dole, the free bread distributed to the urban poor, to ensure that the distribution is fair and that the grain is not spoiled. This is Caesar's work. Boring, administrative, essential. Antoninus has taught him that empire is not built on conquest, but on logistics. That the emperor who feeds his people is more powerful than the emperor who defeats his enemies. But Marcus is distracted. He has just received news that his betrothal to Faustina, the daughter of Antoninus Pius, will be formalized next month. The wedding will take place in the imperial palace. The entire Senate will attend. The city will celebrate for days. And Marcus feels nothing. Not joy, not dread, just a kind of numb acceptance, like a patient receiving a diagnosis he has long expected. He stops at a corner. A beggar sits against the wall, an old man, his legs twisted, his eyes clouded with cataracts. He holds out a hand. "Spare a coin, Lord?" "For Jupiter's sake," he asks. Marcus reaches into his toga. He pulls out a silver denarius, more than the beggar has seen in a year. He places it in the dirty palm. "Not for Jupiter's sake," Marcus says. "For your own." The beggar stares at the coin. Then he looks up at Marcus, really looks, with eyes that see more than they should. "You are the young Caesar, aren't you? The philosopher prince," he says. Marcus nods. "My advice, Lord," the beggar says. "Don't marry for politics. Marry for love. Or don't marry at all. The throne is cold enough without a cold bed. Marcus smiles, a rare, genuine smile that transforms his serious face into something almost beautiful. "And what would you know of thrones, old man?" he asks. "I was a senator's son once," the beggar says. "Before the dice turned. I know that power is a coin with two faces, and neither face is happy." Marcus looks at him for a long moment. Then he reaches into his toga again. He pulls out another denarius. And another. He places them all in the beggar's hand. "Buy yourself a warm meal," he says. "And remember, the dice can turn again. But virtue is the only bet that always pays." He walks on. The beggar watches him go, shaking his head at the strange young man who speaks like a priest and gives like a king. The wedding of Marcus Aurelius and Aeneia Galeria Faustina. The room is decorated with flowers, roses, violets, lilies, and hung with tapestries of gold and purple. The guests are the elite of Rome, senators, consuls, priests, philosophers. The air is thick with perfume, incense, and the nervous sweat of 100 people pretending to be happy. Faustina, 14 years old, small for her age, her face a perfect oval framed by dark hair, her eyes black as obsidian, stands in the center of the room. She wears the flammeum, the wedding veil of orange-yellow wool that covers her face and falls to her feet. Her hands tremble. She is a child being given to a man she barely knows. Marcus, 24, tall, bearded, his face unreadable, stands beside her. He wears the toga of a bridegroom, white, without the purple stripe, because today he is not Caesar. Today he is simply a man taking a wife. The ceremony is brief. Roman weddings are legal transactions, not religious sacraments. The augur reads the auspices. The contract is signed. The bride is led 3 times around the hearth, the sacred center of the Roman home, and the guests throw nuts, symbols of fertility. Then the veil is lifted. Faustina looks at Marcus. He looks at her. What do they see? He sees a child. A beautiful, intelligent, frightened child. A girl who has been raised in the imperial household, who has learned to hide her thoughts behind a mask of propriety, who has been told since birth that she will marry this man and bear his children and die an empress. She sees a ghost, a pale, serious, exhausted young man who looks at her not with desire, but with something like pity. A man who would rather be reading than standing here. A man who treats her with the careful gentleness of someone handling a bird with a broken wing. They do not love each other. Not yet. Perhaps not ever, in the way that poets mean love. But they respect each other. And in the world they inhabit, a world of arranged marriages, political alliances, and dynastic necessity, respect is more valuable than passion. The guests cheer. The wine flows, the music plays, and Marcus and Faustina retreat to the bridal chamber, a small room with a bed that has been prepared with ritual care, the sheets sprinkled with herbs to ensure fertility. They do not speak. They do not need to. They are both prisoners of the same cage. And prisoners, at least, understand each other. The years pass. The marriage produces children, 12 of them over the next 25 years. Most will die before their father. Only one, Commodus, will outlive him, and that one will destroy everything. But for now, in these years of waiting, Marcus and Faustina build a life. Not a romantic life, not a passionate life, but a partnership. She manages the household, the estates, the social obligations. He studies, writes, prepares for the throne he does not want. Marcus continues his education with a new intensity. He studies under Sextus of Chaeronea, nephew of the great biographer Plutarch, who teaches him that a man can be both serious and kind, both disciplined and gentle. Under Claudius Maximus, who demonstrates what it means to face death without fear. Under Junius Rusticus, the most important teacher of all. The garden of Junius Rusticus is small, walled, overgrown with ivy and wild roses. Rusticus, a soldier who became a philosopher, a consul who became a teacher, sits on a stone bench, his military cloak thrown over his shoulders despite the heat. He is 60, his face scarred by a Germanic spear that missed his eye by an inch, his hands calloused from sword and stylus alike. Marcus, 30 now, his beard full, his eyes carrying the weight of a decade in the imperial household, sits across from him. Between them, on the bench, is a scroll, the Discourses of Epictetus. You have read it? Rusticus asks. 3 times, Marcus says. I can recite whole passages. Then you have missed the point entirely, Rusticus says. Marcus blinks. He is not used to being corrected. He is Caesar. He is the heir. He is the most educated young man in Rome. I do not understand, he says. Epictetus did not write to be recited, Rusticus says. He wrote to be lived. You treat his words like jewels, beautiful, valuable, to be displayed. But jewels do not keep you warm. Jewels do not fill your belly. Jewels do not teach you how to endure a winter campaign, or bury a dead child, or face an angry mob. You must stop collecting philosophy and start practicing it. Marcus looks down. He knows Rusticus is right. He has been performing virtue, not living it. Sleeping on skins instead of beds. Wearing rough wool instead of silk. But always with the awareness that he is performing. Always with the secret satisfaction of knowing that he is more disciplined than other men. I will lend you this copy, Rusticus says. Not to read, to carry, to stain with your sweat, to tear with your hands, to lose in a camp and find again, to use until it is no longer a book, but a part of you. And when it falls apart, as all things do, you will know that you have not lost a treasure. You have become one. Marcus takes the scroll. He holds it like a sacred object. And for the first time, he understands that philosophy is not something you learn. It is something you become. Marcus, 35 now, his hair beginning to gray at the temples, his face lined with the strain of constant preparation, sits at his desk. A letter from Fronto lies open before him, but he is not reading it. He is writing, not the meditations, not yet, but something like them. Notes to himself, reminders, corrections. He writes in Greek, the language of philosophy, not the language of empire. The words are not for publication. They are not for posterity. They are for no one but himself. Begin each day by telling yourself, he writes, today I shall meet interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. All this arises from ignorance on the part of those who do not know what is good and what is evil. But I, who have seen the nature of the good and the nature of the bad, know that these wrongdoers share the same nature as myself. We were born to work together, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. So I cannot be angry with them. I cannot hate them. We are made for cooperation, like the feet, the hands, the eyelids, the teeth. To act against one another is contrary to nature. He stops. He reads the words back. He is not satisfied. He crosses out a line. He writes it again. He is not writing for beauty. He is writing for truth. And truth, he is learning, is harder than beauty. Outside, the city sleeps. The Tiber flows. The stars turn in their ancient courses, and Marcus Aurelius, 35 years old, healthy, wealthy, powerful, and utterly exhausted, practices the only art that matters, the art of being good. He does not know that in 6 years, everything will change, that the old emperor will die, that the throne will descend upon him like an avalanche, that the peace he has known will shatter into plague and war and loss beyond measure. He only knows that tonight, in this room, with this pen, he is doing what he was born to do. And for now, that is enough. A country estate at Lorium, on the coast of Italy. It is March the 7th, 161 AD. The villa is quiet, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of waiting. Antoninus Pius is dying. He is 74 years old. He has ruled for 23 years, the longest reign since Augustus. He has not left Italy once. He has not started a single war. He has not built a single monument that bears his name. He has simply governed, steadily, calmly, boringly. And now, in a bedroom with the shutters closed against the spring air, he lies in bed, his breathing shallow, his face serene. Marcus stands beside him. He is 40 years old. He has spent half his life waiting for this moment. And now that it has arrived, he feels not readiness, but terror. The room is full of people, physicians, senators, priests, slaves. But the only sound is Antoninus's breathing. In, out, each breath a little shorter than the last. Antoninus opens his eyes. He looks at Marcus. He smiles, a faint, gentle smile that says everything words cannot. "Marcus," he says, "my son." Marcus kneels. He takes the old man's hand, dry, cold, light as a bird's bone. "I am here, father," he says. "The empire is yours now," Antoninus says. "But do not call it yours. It belongs to the Roman people. You are only its steward, its servant. Remember that." "I will remember," Marcus says. "I will remember everything you taught me." "I taught you very little," Antoninus says. "I only showed you how to be calm, how to be just, how to endure. That is all any of us can do. Endure and be kind." His eyes close. His breathing stops. For a moment, the room holds its breath. All those powerful men, frozen in the presence of death. Then Antoninus speaks one last word, a whisper so faint that only Marcus hears it. "Equanimity." And he is gone. The transition is seamless. There is no civil war. There is no succession crisis. For the first time in Roman history, power passes not through blood or violence, but through preparation and peace. Marcus, now emperor, is acclaimed by the Senate. The Praetorian Guard swears allegiance. The provinces send congratulations. The world holds its breath, waiting to see what kind of man has taken the throne. And Marcus does something unprecedented. He refuses to rule alone. The Curia Julia, the most beautiful building in Rome, brick faced with marble, its bronze doors gleaming, its interior lined with the portraits of great men who built the Republic. The Senate is assembled, 600 men in white togas, their faces a mixture of curiosity, ambition, and fear. They have just acclaimed Marcus as emperor. They expect him to take the title, the power, the glory. But Marcus stands at the center of the chamber, and beside him stands another man, Lucius Verus, 31 years old, handsome, athletic, his hair golden, his smile easy. He is the son of Hadrian's original heir, Lucius Aelius. He has been Marcus's adoptive brother since childhood, and he has just been named co-emperor. The Senate is stunned. No Roman emperor has ever shared power equally. The logic of empire is singular: one man, one will, one God on earth. Two emperors means division. Two emperors means weakness. Two emperors means civil war. Senator Galba, an old man, his face purple with rage, steps forward. "Caesar, you cannot do this," he says. "Rome has one head, not two. This Lucius, he is not worthy. He is a boy who plays at soldiers. He will destroy you, and he will destroy Rome." Marcus looks at Galba. His expression does not change. He has spent his life preparing for anger, for opposition, for the hatred of those who do not understand. "Senator Galba," he says, "you speak from fear, not from wisdom. Lucius Verus is my brother. He is the son of the divine Aurelius. He is a Roman of the highest rank, and he will rule beside me, not beneath me, not behind me, but beside me, because Rome is stronger when it is united than when it is divided." Galba sputters, but he cannot argue with the logic, and he cannot argue with the man who speaks it, a man whose calm is so absolute that it feels almost supernatural. Marcus turns to Lucius. He takes his brother's hand. He raises it so that all the Senate can see. "I, Marcus Aurelius, emperor by the grace of the Senate and the Roman people, declare Lucius Verus my equal in all things," he says. "What is mine is his. What is his is mine. We are one mind, one will, one empire." Lucius smiles, that easy, golden smile that has charmed everyone who ever met him. He does not understand the weight of what Marcus has just done. He does not understand that Marcus has just given away half his power to protect the other half. He only knows that he is emperor now, and that the world is his playground. But Marcus knows, and he accepts the cost, because Stoicism teaches that the good of the whole is more important than the glory of the one. And because Marcus, deep in his heart, in the place where philosophy and fear meet, does not want to rule alone. He wants someone to share the burden, even if that someone is not worthy of it. The city celebrates. The people cheer. Two emperors ride through the streets in a chariot drawn by 4 white horses. Confetti, flower petals, colored wool, tiny coins rains down on them. The soldiers chant their names. The children wave flags. Marcus sits rigid, his face serious, his eyes scanning the crowd for threats. Lucius waves and smiles, throwing coins to the poor, accepting the adulation like a man who has earned it. They are opposites. Marcus, thin, pale, bearded, dressed in the simple white toga of a senator. Lucius, muscular, tanned, clean-shaven, wearing a purple cloak lined with gold. Marcus thinks of duty. Lucius thinks of pleasure. Marcus wants to reform the law. Lucius wants to race chariots. And yet, they are brothers, bound by adoption, by history, by the strange chemistry of two men who have grown up in the same golden cage. The procession reaches the Capitoline Hill. They climb the steps to the Temple of Jupiter. They offer sacrifice, a white bull, its throat cut by the priest, its blood collected in a golden bowl. The smoke rises. The gods are invoked. The empire is blessed. And Marcus, standing in the temple he has visited 1,000 times, watching the smoke curl toward the painted ceiling, feels the first cold touch of dread. Because he knows, with the certainty of a philosopher and the intuition of a man who has read too much history, that this peace will not last, that the empire is rotting from within, that the frontiers are cracking, that the plague is coming, that the barbarians are massing, that the golden age is ending, and he has been chosen to preside over its funeral. He does not show it. He cannot show it. The emperor must be calm. The emperor must be strong. The emperor must be the rock upon which the empire stands, even as the waves crash over him. But inside, in the private theater where only he sits, Marcus Aurelius is terrified. Marcus lies awake. He cannot sleep. He has not slept well in years. Insomnia is his constant companion, the price of a mind that never stops working. He gets up. He walks to the window. He looks out at Rome, the city of a million lamps, stretching into the darkness like a field of stars fallen to earth. He thinks of his teachers, Apollonius, Rusticus, Maximus, Fronto. What would they say to him now? What wisdom would they offer for the man who is everything and wants none of it? He picks up a wax tablet. He writes, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself," he writes, "the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of the good and the ugliness of the evil, and I have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of upper and lower teeth. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him, these are obstructions." He stops. He looks at the words. They are beautiful. They are true. They are also, he knows this, with the honesty that is his greatest virtue and his greatest burden, almost impossible to live by. He will meet meddling people tomorrow. He will meet ungrateful people. He will meet arrogant, dishonest, jealous, surly people. And he will always try, to see them as brothers, as partners, as fellow travelers on the same difficult road. But some nights like this, he will fail. Some nights, he will hate them. Some nights, he will hate himself for hating them. That is the cost of being Marcus Aurelius. The cost of caring too much. The cost of thinking too much. The cost of being good in a world that rewards cruelty. He blows out the lamp. He lies down. He closes his eyes. And somewhere in the darkness, the first seeds of the coming storm are already sprouting. The war that came from the east. The Euphrates River, 162 AD. The water is brown, swollen with spring melt from the Armenian highlands. On the eastern bank, the desert stretches to the horizon, a landscape of sand and stone and silence. On the western bank, a Roman army is assembling. The Parthian Empire has invaded Armenia. They have destroyed a Roman legion. They have killed the Roman governor. They are marching into Syria. And Lucius Verus, co-emperor, golden-haired, restless, has been sent to deal with it. Marcus stays in Rome. He handles the law courts, the Senate, the grain supply, the endless administrative machinery of an empire that spans 3 continents. He is the brain. Lucius is the sword. Or so the plan goes. The camp is a city of leather and wood, built on the floodplain where the river meets the desert. The heat is unbearable, not the dry heat of myth, but a wet, suffocating heat that wraps around the body like a blanket soaked in boiling water. The soldiers sweat in their armor. The horses stamp and whinny. The flies are everywhere, black clouds of them, feeding on garbage, on dung, on the sweat of 10,000 men. Lucius Verus stands at the entrance to his tent, a tent larger than Marcus's, hung with silk, cooled by slaves waving fans of ostrich feathers. He is 32 years old, dressed in a general's cloak of purple wool, his armor polished to a mirror shine. He looks like a god, but he is not a general. He has no military experience. He has never commanded more than a household guard. He has spent his life in Rome, racing chariots, attending games, enjoying the pleasures that Marcus denies himself. And now he stands at the head of the largest army Rome has fielded in decades, facing an enemy that has destroyed Roman legions before. He is scared. He hides it well, the smile, the easy laugh, the casual gesture, but he is scared. And he should be. The Parthian cavalry, armored in chain mail, armed with compound bows that can pierce a Roman shield at 200 yards, waits beyond the next ridge. They are not like the Germanic tribes that Rome has fought before. They are organized, professional, and deadly. Their king, Vologases III, has united the eastern provinces in a way that no Parthian ruler has done in generations. Lucius turns to his generals, men like Avidius Cassius, the governor of Syria, a soldier of immense experience and quiet ambition. Men like Marcius Verus, a veteran of the eastern frontier who knows the terrain like the veins on the back of his hand. Gentlemen, Lucius says, the Parthians have insulted Rome. They have killed our governor. They have invaded our ally. They have destroyed our legion. What is our response? The generals exchange glances. They know the truth. Lucius is not in command. They are. But they also know that Lucius is the emperor's brother, and that to contradict him openly is to risk their careers or their lives. Caesar, Cassius says, the Parthians are cavalry. We are infantry. In the open desert, they will ride circles around us. We must force them to fight where their horses cannot maneuver, in the mountains, in the cities, in the narrow passes. And how do we do that? Lucius asks. We invade Mesopotamia, Cassius says. We threaten their capital, Ctesiphon. They will be forced to defend it. And when they do, we destroy them. Lucius nods. He does not understand the strategy. He does not need to. He only needs to say yes, to sign the orders, to stand at the head of the army while the real work is done by men like Cassius. And that is exactly what happens. The war is brutal. The Roman legions, soft from years of peace, are massacred in early engagements. A full legion is wiped out in Armenia, caught in a mountain pass, overwhelmed by Parthian horse archers who shoot and retreat, never giving the Romans a chance to close. Another legion is trapped and destroyed in Mesopotamia, its eagle standard captured, its commander crucified. The empire that has not lost a major war in a century is bleeding. But Rome adapts. Rome always adapts. New generals are sent. New tactics are developed. The Romans push back, invading Parthian territory, sacking the capital at Ctesiphon, burning the palace of the Parthian king. By 166 AD, the war is won. Lucius Verus returns to Rome in triumph. But he brings something back with him, something that will kill more Romans than the Parthians ever did. The streets are packed. 1 million people, citizens, slaves, freedmen, foreigners, crowd the Via Sacra, the sacred way that leads from the Forum to the Capitoline Hill. They have not seen a triumph in years. They have not seen their emperors ride in victory. And now, 2 emperors, brothers, conquerors, ride in a chariot drawn by 4 white horses, and the crowd throws so many flowers that the street is carpeted in petals. Marcus and Lucius stand side by side in the chariot. Marcus, 45 now, his beard completely white, his face lined with the strain of managing an empire while his brother played at war, holds a laurel branch. Lucius, 36, still golden, still beautiful, though his eyes are shadowed with something that looks like guilt, holds the eagle standard of the recovered legion. Behind them, the spoils of war, gold from Ctesiphon, silks from the Parthian court, jewels that would ransom a kingdom, and behind the spoils, the prisoners, Parthian nobles in chains, their faces blank with the shock of defeat. The crowd cheers. They do not know what is coming. They do not know that among the returning soldiers, a sickness is spreading. It starts with fever, then boils, raised pustules that cover the face, the arms, the chest, then bleeding from the mouth, then death, fast, merciless, indiscriminate. The soldiers have brought something home from the east, something Rome has never seen before. They have brought the Antonine Plague, the Reign of Fire. Rome, 166 to 167 AD. The city that once cheered the triumph is now lined with the dead. The Antonine Plague, probably smallpox, possibly measles, certainly something new and terrible, sweeps through the empire like a scythe. It is not the first pandemic in history, but it is the first pandemic in a world as connected as Rome. The Roman roads, those marvels of engineering that bind the empire together, become vectors of death. The trade routes that carry silk from China, spices from India, grain from Egypt, they carry the plague too. In Rome, the streets are choked with bodies. The Forum, the political heart of the empire, is stacked with corpses like cordwood. The temples are full of the dying, begging gods who do not answer. The smell of burning flesh rises from the outskirts of the city, where pyres burn day and night, consuming the dead faster than they can be buried. The plague does not discriminate. It kills senators and slaves, merchants and soldiers, philosophers and fools. It kills so many people that the army cannot recruit replacements. It kills so many farmers that the grain supply falters. It kills so many people that the empire, for the first time in living memory, feels fragile. Galen, the greatest physician of the age, witnesses the plague firsthand. He writes of the symptoms: fever, inflammation of the eyes, skin eruptions, diarrhea, delirium. He tries every remedy he knows: bleeding, purging, herbal concoctions, amulets, prayers. None work. Marcus does not hide in his palace. He walks among the sick. He opens the imperial treasury to pay for burials. He organizes relief efforts, distributing food, medicine, and money to the afflicted neighborhoods. He writes to the provinces, coordinating a response across an empire that has no concept of public health. And in the middle of this, in October 166 AD, he and Lucius appoint their two surviving sons, Commodus and Marcus Annius Verus, as Caesars, official heirs to the throne. Commodus is 5 years old. The appointment is not celebration. It is panic. Marcus and Lucius are both sickly. The plague is killing emperors and peasants alike. If both men die, Rome needs a successor, even if that successor is a child. It is the first crack in Marcus's stoic facade. For the first time, he is making decisions not from philosophy, but from fear. Marcus sits at his desk. A letter from Galen lies open before him, the physician's latest report on the plague. The numbers are staggering. Thousands dead in Rome alone, tens of thousands across Italy, hundreds of thousands across the empire. But Marcus is not reading the letter. He is staring at a small wax tablet, a death notice. His son, Marcus Annius Verus, age 7, has died of the plague. He does not weep. He has trained himself not to weep. But his hands tremble. His face is gray. His eyes, those gray-green eyes, are empty. Faustina enters. She is 40 years old now, her beauty faded by childbirth and grief, her hair streaked with gray. She has buried 5 children. She is about to bury a 6th. She does not speak. She walks to Marcus. She puts her arms around him. And for the first time in their 22 years of marriage, he breaks. He weeps. Not the controlled tears of a stoic, but the raw, racking sobs of a father who has held his dead son's body and felt it go cold. He weeps into Faustina's shoulder, his body shaking, his voice cracking with a sound that is almost animal. She holds him. She does not say it will be all right. She does not say the gods have a plan. She does not say any of the things that people say when they do not know what else to say. She only holds him, and that is enough. After a long time, minutes, hours, who can tell, Marcus pulls back. He wipes his face with the back of his hand. He looks at his wife. "I am supposed to be strong," he says. "I am supposed to accept this. The Stoics say that death is not an evil, that it is natural, that it is a return to the elements from which we came. But Faustina, I cannot. I cannot accept it." He was 7. He was 7 years old. He had not even learned to read Greek properly. And now he is gone, and I am here, and I do not know why. Faustina touches his face. Her fingers are rough. Years of managing estates, of writing letters, of holding babies who would not stop crying. "You do not need to know why," she says. "You only need to keep going. For the other children. For Rome. For yourself. The gods, if there are gods, do not ask us to understand. They only ask us to endure." Marcus looks at her. In that moment, he sees her not as his wife, not as the empress, but as a woman who has suffered as much as he has and found a way to keep breathing. "You are stronger than I am," he says. "I am a mother," she says. "Mothers do not have the luxury of philosophy. We only have the duty of survival." She stands. She walks to the window. She looks out at Rome, the city of a million lamps, now dimmed by death, its streets choked with the smell of burning flesh. "The plague will pass," she says. "It always passes. And when it does, we will rebuild. We will have more children. We will plant new gardens. We will laugh again. But not tonight. Tonight, we grieve. And tomorrow, we endure." Marcus nods. He picks up his stylus. He writes in his journal, not the meditations, not yet, but something rawer, something closer to a scream than a sermon. "Today I buried my son," he writes. "He was 7. The Stoics say I should not grieve. They say death is natural. They say the soul returns to the divine fire. But my heart does not believe what my mind knows. My heart is broken, and I do not know if it will ever heal." He stops. He looks at the words. He knows he should destroy them. They are not Stoic. They are not philosophical. They are not the thoughts of an emperor. But he cannot, because they are true. And truth, even ugly truth, is the only foundation upon which virtue can be built. He closes the tablet. He blows out the lamp. He lies down beside his wife, and they hold each other in the dark, 2 broken people trying to hold a broken world together. The plague has begun to recede, not because it has been cured, but because it has killed everyone it can kill. The survivors, those with immunity, those with luck, those with the strength to endure, walk through streets that are strangely quiet. The shops are open. The temples are clean. The pyres have stopped burning. But the empire is wounded. And wounded empires attract predators. In the north, beyond the Danube, Germanic tribes, Marcomanni, Quadi, Lombards, have crossed the river. They have breached the Alpine passes. They are inside Italy. The city of Aquileia, a major Roman city in the north, is under siege. Rome has not been invaded in 200 years. The last time barbarians entered Italy, Hannibal was leading elephants across the Alps. The psychological shock is greater than the military threat. The Senate panics. The people riot. The Praetorian Guard prepares to defend the city walls. Marcus and Lucius leave Rome together, the first time Marcus has left Italy since becoming emperor. They march north to drive the invaders out. But Lucius Verus is not well. Years of luxury, of camp life, of whatever illness he contracted in the east, it has weakened him. On the journey, he suffers a stroke, or a seizure, or something else that ancient medicine cannot name. He dies in January 169 AD, somewhere in northern Italy, at Altinum, near modern Venice. Marcus is alone. For the first time, he is sole emperor. The co-ruler who was supposed to outlive him, the younger, stronger brother, is gone. Marcus is 47 years old, in failing health, surrounded by plague and war, and now he commands the largest army Rome has fielded in generations. He writes nothing about Lucius's death in his private journal. This silence is louder than any eulogy, because Marcus knows that grief is private, that the empire does not need his tears, it needs his strength. He marches on. The Danube frontier, 170 to 175 AD. A landscape of ice and mud, of dark forests and frozen rivers, of a boundary between civilization and wilderness that is thinner than anyone imagined. Marcus Aurelius, now sole emperor, now 47 years old, now a man who has buried half his children and his only brother, stands on the bank of the Danube. He wears a soldier's cloak, rough, undyed wool. He carries no scepter, no orb, no symbol of imperial power. He looks like what he is, a general, a soldier, a man at war. But he is not a general. He has no military experience. He has spent his life in libraries and law courts, not battlefields. He has read about war in the Iliad and Caesar's commentaries. He has never smelled it. He has never felt it. He has never watched a man die by his own hand. And now he must lead. The Germanic tribes, Marcomanni, Quadi, Iazyges, Vandals, Sarmatians, have united in a way they never have before. They are not just raiding. They are invading. They have crossed the Danube in force, breached the Alpine passes, and entered Italy. They have destroyed the city of Opitergium. They have besieged Aquileia. They have killed a Roman general, the governor of Upper Pannonia, and sent his head back to Rome on a spear. The Senate is in panic. The people are in terror. The empire, already weakened by plague, is on the brink of collapse. And Marcus, the philosopher, the thinker, the man who wanted nothing more than to sit in a garden and read Epictetus, must now become a warrior. The camp is a city of leather and wood, built on the frozen plain where the Danube meets the Morava. It stretches for miles, the legions of the Danube frontier, reinforced by troops from Syria, Egypt, Britain, and Spain. The standards of the legions stand stiff in the wind, their bronze eagles gleaming dully under a sky the color of old iron. Marcus walks through the camp. He does not ride a horse. His health does not permit it. He walks, like a common soldier, his boots sinking into the mud, his cloak pulled tight against the wind. The soldiers stare at him. They have heard stories about this emperor, the philosopher, the man who sleeps on the ground, the man who eats the same hard bread as the legionaries. But hearing is not the same as seeing. A legionary, a big man, his face scarred by a Germanic axe, his hands calloused from 20 years of sword and shovel, steps forward. He blocks Marcus's path. "Caesar." A word, he says. The Praetorian guards tense. Their hands move to their swords. But Marcus raises a hand. He stops them. "Speak, soldier," he says. "We have heard that you are a philosopher," the legionary says. "That you read books while we fight. That you write poems while we die. Is it true?" The camp falls silent. Hundreds of soldiers have stopped their work to watch. This is insubordination. This is mutiny, barely disguised. The Praetorian prefect, a man named Terentius Paternus, steps forward, his face dark with anger. "How dare you speak to the emperor this way?" he says. Guards. "No," Marcus says. He steps closer to the legionary. He looks up at him. Marcus is not a tall man, and the soldier towers over him. But there is something in Marcus's eyes, a calm, a certainty, a depth, that makes the legionary feel small. "It is true," Marcus says. "I am a philosopher. I do read books. I do write, not poems, but thoughts. Thoughts about how to be good, how to be just, how to endure. And I am here, not because I want to be, but because I must be. Because Rome is in danger. Because you are in danger. Because if I stayed in my palace while you fought in this frozen hell, I would be a coward. And I would rather die than be a coward." The legionary stares at him. He expected anger. He expected punishment. He expected the emperor to order his crucifixion. Instead, he got honesty. "And if we die," he asks, "if the Germans kill us all, what will your philosophy do then?" "It will help me die well," Marcus says. "And it will help me remember that your deaths, if they come, are not in vain. That you died for Rome, for your families, for the idea that civilization is worth defending, even against the dark. Now, return to your duties, and know that I am not your emperor because I was born to it. I am your emperor because I choose to stand beside you, not above you, beside you." The legionary looks at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, deliberately, he kneels. Not the formal kneel of a subject to a king. The kneel of a soldier to a commander. The kneel of a man who has found something worth following. "Then I will follow you, Caesar," he says. "To the German forests and back." Marcus places a hand on his shoulder. He does not smile, but his eyes, those gray-green eyes, soften with something that looks like gratitude. He walks on. The soldiers part before him, and as he passes, a murmur rises, not the roar of a crowd, but the quiet buzz of men who have decided that this emperor, this strange, serious, book-reading emperor, might just be worth dying for. The tent is small, smaller than a general's tent should be. A folding stool, a campaign desk, a bed of straw and skins, a brazier that barely warms the freezing air. Marcus sits on the stool, wrapped in his cloak, writing by lamplight. He writes in Greek, the language of philosophy, not the language of empire. The words are not for publication. They are not for posterity. They are for no one but himself. This is the beginning of the meditations. He writes about anger, the anger he feels at stupid people, at selfish people, at the endless petty cruelty of human beings. He writes about death, the death of his children, the death of Lucius, his own looming death. He writes about pain, the chest pains that wake him at night, the stomach ulcers that make eating torture, the insomnia that leaves him staring at the tent ceiling until dawn. He writes about Rome, the city he governs but barely sees. He writes about the gods, not as beings who intervene in human affairs, but as the rational principle that orders the universe. He writes about virtue, the only thing, he insists, that is truly good. Fame, wealth, power, pleasure, these are indifferent. They come and go. Only character endures. You have power over your mind, not outside events, he writes. Realize this, and you will find strength. He pauses. He looks at the words. He is not satisfied. He crosses them out. He writes them again. He is not writing for beauty. He is writing for survival. Outside, a wolf howls. The sentries call out. All's well. But Marcus knows that all is not well. That the Germanic tribes are massing beyond the river. That the plague has weakened the legions. That the empire is stretched to breaking. That he, a philosopher in a general's cloak, is the only thing standing between Rome and the dark. He writes again. How much trouble he has given himself who is troubled not by what happens, but by his opinion of what happens, he writes. And what is opinion? Something you can change, something you can control, something that is entirely yours. He stops. He looks at the lamp. The flame flickers, sputters, almost dies. He adjusts the wick. The flame steadies. He thinks of his teachers. Rusticus, Maximus, Apollonius. What would they say to him now? What wisdom would they offer for the man who holds the fate of 70 million souls in his trembling hands? He thinks of Fronto, his old rhetoric tutor, now dead, who would have told him to make a speech, to rally the troops, to use words like weapons. But Marcus knows that words are not weapons. Words are bandages. They cover wounds. They do not prevent them. He thinks of Faustina, his wife, his partner, his anchor. She is in Rome, managing the city, the children, the endless administrative details that he cannot handle from the frontier. He has not seen her in months. He may not see her again. The frontier is dangerous. The war is uncertain. Death is everywhere. He writes one last line before sleep. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. He blows out the lamp. He lies down on the straw. He closes his eyes. And somewhere beyond the tent, beyond the camp, beyond the frozen river, the Germanic tribes are sharpening their spears. The battle is not what you imagine. There are no neat lines of legionaries, no disciplined charges, no glorious cavalry charges. There is only chaos. The Marcomanni have crossed the river at dawn, using boats made of hides stretched over wooden frames. They have attacked the Roman camp before the soldiers are fully awake. The sentries are dead, their throats cut, their bodies cooling in the snow. The camp is burning. The horses are screaming. Marcus, 48 years old, his body weakened by illness, his armor too heavy for his thin frame, stands at the center of the Roman line. He holds a sword, not the decorative blade of an emperor, but the short, heavy gladius of a legionary. He has never killed a man. He does not know if he can. But he stands. He does not run. He does not hide. He stands because Stoicism teaches that courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to be controlled by it. A Germanic warrior breaks through the line. He is huge, 6.5 feet tall, his body painted with blue woad, his hair braided with bones and teeth. He carries a war axe, a massive thing of iron and oak, its blade chipped from 100 battles. He sees Marcus, the old man in the center, the man with the white beard and the purple cloak, and he knows. He knows this is the emperor. He knows that killing this man will make him a legend. He charges. Marcus raises his sword. He knows he cannot win. He knows that this giant of a man will cut him down like wheat. But he raises his sword anyway, because that is what duty demands, because that is what virtue requires, because in this moment, in this frozen hell, facing this painted demon, Marcus Aurelius is not an emperor. He is a man, and a man does not run from death. The German raises his axe, and then an arrow. From nowhere, from everywhere, it strikes the German in the throat. He falls, gurgling, his axe dropping from nerveless fingers. Marcus looks up. A Roman archer, a boy of 18, his hands still shaking from the shot, stands on the rampart. He meets Marcus's eyes. He nods. Marcus nods back. He does not smile. He does not cheer. He only turns back to the battle, his sword still raised, his voice calling out orders that he does not know how to give, his body moving through the chaos like a ghost through a nightmare. The Romans win, not because of Marcus's generalship, he has none, but because of the discipline of the legions, the courage of the soldiers, and the sheer, bloody refusal to break. The Marcomanni are pushed back across the river. The camp is saved. The frontier holds. But the cost is staggering. Thousands dead. Thousands more wounded. The camp destroyed. The supplies lost. The winter coming, and no shelter for the survivors. Marcus walks through the aftermath. He sees a young soldier, no more than 20, lying in the mud, his legs crushed by a wagon. The boy is alive. He is conscious. He is looking at his legs with an expression that is not pain, but confusion. He does not understand why they will not move. Marcus kneels beside him. He takes the boy's hand. "What is your name, soldier?" he asks. "Gaius. Gaius Julius Secundus, Caesar. From Capua," the boy says. "You fought well today, Gaius," Marcus says. "You saved the camp. You saved the empire." "My legs, Caesar," the boy says. "I cannot feel them. Will I walk again?" Marcus looks at the legs. They are pulp, bone and blood and nothing else. The physicians will amputate. The boy will die of infection within the week. Marcus knows this. The boy does not. "You will walk in Elysium, Gaius," Marcus says. "The gods, the good gods, will give you legs of gold, and you will march with the heroes of old. That is my promise to you." The boy smiles. He believes. He has to believe. And Marcus, the philosopher who knows that Elysium is probably a myth, that the gods are probably indifferent, that death is probably the end, holds the boy's hand until the physicians come. He does not leave. He watches the amputation. He hears the scream. He sees the blood. He smells the cauterizing iron. And when it is over, when the boy is unconscious, his stumps wrapped in linen, his life measured in hours, Marcus walks back to his tent and writes, "Death is a release from the impressions of sense, and from impulses that make us their puppets, and from the vagaries of the mind, and from the hard service of the flesh," he writes. He stops. He looks at the words. He knows they are true, but he also knows that truth does not comfort the dying. That philosophy is for the living, that the dead need nothing, and the living need everything. He adds one more line. "And yet, I would give my own legs to save that boy's," he writes. "I would give my life." Is this weakness? Or is this the highest form of strength, to love so much that you would sacrifice yourself for a stranger? He does not know the answer. He will never know the answer. But he keeps asking the question, because that is what philosophers do. They ask, they doubt, they endure. The years of war pass in a blur of campaigns, victories, setbacks, and more campaigns. Marcus crosses the Danube repeatedly, establishing new provinces, building forts, negotiating with tribal leaders who speak languages he does not understand. He sells the imperial treasures, the golden plates, the jeweled cups, to pay for the war. He auctions off his wife's silks and his own statues to fund the legions. The Senate is horrified. An emperor should not sell his own possessions. An emperor should not demean himself by bargaining with barbarians. An emperor should not, as Marcus does, grant citizenship to Germanic soldiers who fight for Rome, integrating them into the legions that once fought against their own fathers. But Marcus does all these things because they work. Because the empire is bleeding and bandages are more important than dignity. He is now in his 50s. His beard is completely white. His body is ravaged by illness. He takes a compound called theriac, a mixture of herbs and opium, to endure the pain. He eats almost nothing, and only at night. He sleeps only a few hours, and only with anxiety. Cassius Dio, the historian who will outlive him, records a speech Marcus gives to his troops in Pannonia. For it is on behalf of the state that I continue to toil and to undergo dangers, and that I have spent so much time here outside of Italy, though already an old man and weak, unable to take either food without pain or sleep without anxiety. He is not asking for pity. He is stating fact. He is an old man in a young man's job, doing what must be done because no one else can do it. And then, in 175 AD, the world falls apart. The revolt of Avidius Cassius. A messenger enters Marcus's tent in the dead of night. He is dirty, exhausted, terrified. He falls to his knees. He speaks words that do not seem real. Caesar, he says. Avidius Cassius has proclaimed himself emperor. Avidius Cassius, the governor of Syria, the commander of the Eastern legions, one of Rome's most successful generals, has seized the purple. He has done it not because he is ambitious, but because he believes Marcus is dead. A rumor, a false report of illness. That is all it took. Cassius controls Egypt, the granary of the empire. He controls Syria, the eastern frontier. He controls the legions that defeated the Parthians. If he marches west, the empire splits in two. If he holds the grain supply, Rome starves. If he wins, Marcus's 14-year reign ends in civil war. Marcus does not panic. He does not order executions. He does not even order an immediate march east. Instead, he writes to Cassius. He offers to abdicate, to retire to philosophy, to let Cassius rule, if Cassius can prove he is the better man. He writes to the Senate, asking them to remain calm. He writes to his allies in the East, reminding them of their oaths. And he prepares for war. But he does not have to fight. Cassius is murdered by his own soldiers before Marcus reaches the eastern provinces. The revolt collapses. The head of the usurper is brought to Marcus in a sack. Marcus refuses to look at it. He orders that Cassius's family be protected. He allows Cassius's children to keep their inheritance. He forbids reprisals against the provinces that supported the revolt. He treats the defeated with mercy that shocks the Roman world, where defeated usurpers are usually crucified, their families sold into slavery, their names erased from history. But Marcus is a Stoic, and Stoicism teaches that hatred is a disease of the soul, that the best revenge is to not become like your enemy. He tours the eastern provinces with his wife, re-establishing authority through presence rather than punishment. He visits Athens, the city of Plato and Aristotle, and is initiated into the Eleusinian mysteries, the secret religious rites that promise life after death. He visits Alexandria, the city of learning, and walks through the great library, though it is already in decline. And then, somewhere on this journey, Faustina falls ill. The camp is near the Halys River, in what is now Turkey. A tent larger than most, hung with purple. A woman lies on a cot, her face flushed with fever. She is 45 years old. She has been empress for 30 years. She has given birth 12 times. She has buried most of her children, and now she is dying. Faustina dies in 175 AD, somewhere in Cappadocia or Galatia. The sources disagree on the exact location. The cause is unclear. Perhaps the plague, perhaps exhaustion, perhaps something else. Marcus is devastated. We know this not because he writes it. He writes almost nothing about Faustina in the Meditations, but because of what he does after her death. He petitions the Senate to deify her. He builds temples in her honor. He names his daughter after her. He keeps her memory alive with a devotion that goes beyond political necessity. The rumors begin almost immediately. Faustina, people whisper, was unfaithful. She supported Cassius's revolt. She conspired against her husband. She was not the virtuous empress she appeared to be. Marcus hears these rumors. He never responds. Because the Stoic does not defend his reputation. He defends his character. And he knows what Faustina was to him. Not a perfect woman, but a loyal wife, a devoted mother, a companion through 30 years of unimaginable pressure. He returns to the northern frontier. The war is not over. The Germanic tribes have risen again. The Quadi and Marcomanni are crossing the Danube in force. Rome's northern defenses are crumbling. And Marcus is now alone. Truly alone. No wife. No brother. No co-emperor. Only a teenage son who has been raised in luxury and knows nothing of war. He has one choice. Make that son ready, or watch the empire fall. The son he could not save. A young man, 15 years old, handsome, athletic, with his father's eyes but not his father's gravity, stands in a Roman camp, wearing a toga for the first time. The soldiers cheer. The officers look uncertain. The father watches from a distance, his face unreadable. Commodus. Marcus has spent the last 3 years rushing his son through the stages of manhood. In 175 AD, after the Cassius revolt, Commodus was brought to the frontier and given the toga virilis, the garment of adult citizenship, at age 15. In 176 AD, he was acclaimed imperator by the legions. In 177 AD, he was made co-emperor, Augustus, equal to his father. Marcus is trying to do two things at once: secure the succession and educate his son. He surrounds Commodus with the best advisors, Pompeianus, Pertinax, the generals who have won the northern wars. He marries Commodus to a noble woman. He gives him every advantage that Marcus himself never had. But there is a problem. Commodus is not Marcus. Where Marcus was serious, Commodus is playful. Where Marcus was studious, Commodus is athletic. Where Marcus saw the throne as a burden, Commodus sees it as a birthright. He has grown up knowing he will be emperor. He has never had to earn anything. He has never known failure. He has never known sacrifice. And Marcus knows this. He sees it in his son's eyes, the restlessness, the impatience, the hunger for glory without the discipline to achieve it. But what can he do? Marcus has no other sons. His other children are dead. If he disinherits Commodus, he creates a rival claimant who will be killed by the next emperor. If he appoints another man, Pompeianus, perhaps he risks civil war. The Cassius revolt proved how close the empire had come to splitting in two. He will not risk it again. So Marcus does what he believes is the only moral choice. He prepares Commodus as best he can. He prays to the gods for wisdom, and he hopes, against all evidence, that his son will grow into the man Rome needs. It is the tragedy of Marcus's life, not the wars, not the plague, not the death of his wife, but this: that the philosopher who could govern himself could not govern his own blood. Marcus and Commodus sit by a fire. The father is 56, white-bearded, wrapped in a soldier's cloak. The son is 16, golden-haired, restless, his eyes darting to the darkness beyond the firelight. "Commodus, look at me," Marcus says. The boy turns. He respects his father, even fears him a little, but he does not understand him. He does not understand why the emperor of Rome sleeps on the ground, why he eats hard bread, why he writes in a notebook instead of hunting or racing or enjoying the pleasures that power provides. "Yes, father," he says. "I am going to tell you something that no one else will tell you," Marcus says. "Something that you must remember when I am gone. The throne is not a prize. It is a prison. It is not a reward. It is a punishment. It is not a source of joy. It is a source of responsibility so heavy that it will break you, unless you are stronger than you think you are." "I understand, father," Commodus says. "I will be strong. I will be a great emperor. I will." "You do not understand," Marcus says. "You think being a great emperor means winning wars, building monuments, being loved by the people. But that is not greatness. Greatness is doing what is right when no one is watching. Greatness is refusing a bribe when you are poor. Greatness is telling the truth when a lie would save your life. Greatness is..." He stops. He sees the look in Commodus's eyes, the glazed look of a boy who has heard this sermon 100 times and stopped listening after the first. "You are not listening," Marcus says. "I am listening, father." "I am," Commodus says. "But why must it be so hard? Why can an emperor not enjoy himself? Why can he not hunt and race and feast? The people love a happy emperor. They love games and spectacles. They do not love a man who sits in a tent and writes sad poems." Marcus looks at him, and in that look, there is something heartbreaking, the realization that his son will never understand, that the gap between them is not a matter of age or experience, but of essence, that Commodus is not a philosopher who happens to be emperor, but an emperor who happens to be a philosopher's son. "Because happiness is not the goal, Commodus," Marcus says. "Virtue is the goal. And virtue, true virtue, is always hard. It is always sad. It is always lonely. But it is the only thing that lasts. Games end. Spectacles fade. Monuments crumble. But a good man, a truly good man, is remembered long after the empire falls." "And what if I do not want to be remembered?" Commodus asks. "What if I want to be happy?" Marcus does not answer, because there is no answer. Because Commodus has asked the one question that Stoicism cannot answer, the question of why virtue should matter more than joy. And Marcus, who has spent his life choosing virtue over joy, does not know how to explain it to someone who has never felt the choice. He reaches out. He touches his son's face, the smooth, young face that is so like his own, and yet so different. "Then I have failed you," he says, "and I am sorry." He stands. He walks back to his tent. He does not look back, because if he looks back, he will see the future he cannot prevent, the future he has already written with his own blood and tears. And that future is too terrible to watch. The Danube frontier, 178 to 180 AD. Two emperors ride at the head of a Roman army. One is old, white-bearded, wrapped in a soldier's cloak. The other is young, golden-haired, restless. They are father and son. They are co-rulers. And they are marching to war together for the first and last time. The Marcomannic Wars enter their final phase. Marcus, now 57, is determined to finish what he started. to push the Germanic tribes back across the Danube, to establish new provinces that will secure the northern frontier for generations, to leave the empire safer than he found it. He recruits gladiators, athletes, and slaves into ad hoc military units, a desperate measure that scandalizes the Senate but fills the ranks depleted by plague. He promises them freedom if they fight. Many desert. Many become bandits. Marcus accepts the cost because the alternative is defeat. The campaigns are brutal. The Quadi resist with a ferocity that surprises even veteran legionaries. The plague breaks out again in the army camps, killing men faster than the enemy can. Marcus himself falls ill, not for the first time, but perhaps for the last. He writes in his journal, in what may be the final year of his life, "Mortal man, you have lived as a citizen in this great city," he writes. "What matter if that life is 5 or 50 years? The laws of the city apply equally to all. So what is there to fear in your dismissal from the city?" He is preparing himself. He has always been preparing himself. Stoicism is not a philosophy of comfort. It is a philosophy of readiness, for death, for loss, for the end of everything you love. In late 179 AD, the Roman general Maximianus defeats the Quadi at Logaricio. The surviving warbands flee into Rhaetia, pursued by Marcus, Pompeianus, and the Praetorian prefect Terratinius Paternus. The final battle takes place near Vindobona, modern Vienna, in the early months of 180 AD. The Romans win. But the victory is hollow, because Marcus is dying. The setting sun. We have come full circle. The old man sits on his stool. The candle flickers. The stylus moves across the wax tablet for the last time. March the 17th, 180 AD. Marcus Aurelius dies at Vindobona, in the camp he has called home for most of the last decade. The cause is probably the plague, the same plague that has killed millions of his subjects. He is 58 years old. He has ruled for 19 years. He has spent 11 of those years at war. He has not seen Rome in years. His last written words, the final entry in the Meditations, are not about empire or glory or legacy. They are about acceptance. This is no tyrant or corrupt judge who dismisses you, but the very same nature that brought you in, he writes. It is like the officer who engaged a comic actor dismissing him from the stage. But I have not played my 5 acts, only 3. True, but in life, 3 acts can be the whole play. Completion is determined by that being who caused first your composition and now your dissolution. You have no part in either causation. Go then in peace. The God who lets you go is at peace with you. His last spoken words, according to the historian Cassius Dio, are to his guard. Go to the rising sun, he says. I am already setting. Whether the rising sun refers to Commodus, to wisdom, or simply to the new day, we will never know. But the metaphor is perfect. Marcus is setting. The last of the 5 good emperors is gone. Commodus becomes sole emperor. He is 19 years old. Within months, he makes peace with the Germanic tribes, abandoning everything his father fought for. Within years, he will become one of the worst emperors in Roman history, a tyrant, a gladiator, a madman. He will be assassinated in 192 AD, 12 years after his father's death, and the empire will plunge into civil war. The Pax Romana ends with Marcus. The Golden Age is over. The decline has begun. Act 6, the cost. What he lost. A family tree, rendered in marble. Names carved in stone. But many of the names are crossed out, worn away, broken. Marcus Aurelius had 12 children with Faustina. Let us count the cost. Twins born in 161. One dies in 165, the other in 169. A daughter, Aeneia Galeria Faustina, dies in childhood. A son, Titus Aelius Antoninus, dies in 165. A son, Titus Aelius Aurelius, dies young. A daughter, Domitia Faustina, dies in 151. A son, Marcus Annius Verus, dies in 169, the same year as Lucius Verus. A daughter, Vibia Aurelia Sabina, survives but lives in obscurity. And then there is Commodus, the one who survives, the one who destroys. Of 12 children, only 2 or 3 outlive their father. The others fall to plague, to illness, to the brutal mathematics of ancient childhood mortality. Marcus buries them all. He writes about none of them in the Meditations. This silence is not coldness. It is stoicism, the belief that grief, while natural, must not consume the soul, that the dead are not lost, but transformed, that nature gives and nature takes away, and the wise man accepts both with equal gratitude. But acceptance is not the same as feeling nothing. Read the Meditations carefully, and you will find the grief between the lines. When Marcus writes that the impediment to action advances action, that obstacles are opportunities, he is not speaking from theory. He is speaking from a life where every step forward was taken through loss. He lost his father at 3. He lost his children one by one. He lost his wife. He lost his brother. He lost his health. He lost his youth to duty, his middle age to war, his old age to a frontier he never chose. And he never complained, not because he felt no pain, but because he believed that complaining was a waste of the only resource that mattered, the present moment. The body that betrayed him. Marcus Aurelius was never healthy. This is not speculation. It is documented in his own letters and in the histories of his contemporaries. Chest pains, possibly ulcers, possibly heart disease, possibly something else, plagued him from youth. Stomach problems made eating a torment. Insomnia left him awake at night, writing by candlelight while the camp slept. He mentions blood spitting that terrified him until remedies brought relief. He took theriac, a medicinal compound containing opium, to manage the pain. He ate little, and only at night. He slept on a military cot, even in his palace, training his body to endure discomfort as a philosopher should. Cassius Dio writes that Marcus could not display many feats of physical prowess, yet he had developed his body from a very weak one to one capable of the greatest endurance. This is the key to understanding Marcus. He was not strong. He was resilient. He was not healthy. He was enduring. He did not overcome his physical limitations. He transcended them through the only power he trusted, his mind. In an age when emperors were expected to be athletes, warriors, hunters, when Hadrian had killed a lion with his own spear and Commodus would fight in the Colosseum, Marcus was a frail man who could barely ride a horse. Yet he spent 11 years on campaign. He crossed the Danube in winter. He slept in tents. He marched with the legions. He did all this not despite his body, but by refusing to let his body dictate his duty. The Stoics called this apatheia, not the absence of feeling, but the refusal to be controlled by feeling. Marcus lived it, every day, for 58 years. Commodus. The question that has haunted historians for 2,000 years: how did the son of the wisest emperor become one of the worst? The answer is not simple. It is not even singular. But let us look at the evidence. Commodus was not born evil. The historian Cassius Dio, who lived through his reign, writes that Commodus was not naturally wicked, but gullible and easily led. He became corrupt only after Marcus's death, when he abandoned the northern frontier, returned to Rome, and surrounded himself with flatterers who told him he was a god. He renamed Rome Commodiana, the city of Commodus. He renamed the months after himself. He fought as a gladiator, not against trained warriors, but against disabled opponents who could not fight back. He drained the treasury with games and spectacles. He executed senators on whim. He was assassinated in 192 AD, strangled by his wrestling partner in a bath. The empire fell into chaos. The year of the 5 emperors. Civil War. The end of the Nerva-Antonine dynasty. The beginning of the end. And Marcus? Did he know? Could he have prevented it? The evidence suggests he tried. He made Commodus co-emperor 3 years before his death, giving him time to learn. He surrounded him with advisors, Pompeianus, Pertinax, the best men of the age. He took him to war, hoping the discipline of the legions would shape him. He did everything a father could do. But Marcus made one fatal assumption, that Commodus could be taught to want what Marcus wanted, that the son would inherit the father's philosophy. That power, properly prepared, would be properly used. He was wrong. And here is the deepest tragedy of Marcus Aurelius, that the man who could govern an empire could not govern his own heart's deepest hope, that his son would be worthy of him. The mistake history cannot forgive. Why did Marcus not choose another successor? This is the question that has divided historians for centuries. Why not adopt a worthy man, as Hadrian adopted Antoninus? Why not appoint Pompeianus, the general who had proven himself in war and loyalty? Why not follow the system that had made Rome great, the system of merit over blood? The answer is buried in the politics of a dying empire. First, Commodus was already emperor. He had been Caesar since age 5, co-emperor since age 16. To remove him would require his death, either assassination or execution. Marcus, a Stoic who believed in the sanctity of life, could not order his own son killed. Second, removing Commodus would create a rival claimant. Even if Commodus was exiled or imprisoned, factions would rally around him. Civil war would follow. And after the Cassius revolt, Marcus knew how close the empire had come to splitting in two. He would not risk it again. Third, hereditary succession was not as un-Roman as modern readers assume. The provinces, the army, the common people expected the emperor's son to succeed him. To defy this expectation was to invite instability. Fourth, and most important, Marcus believed that a bad emperor was better than a civil war, that the empire, weakened by plague and war, could not survive another internal conflict, that Commodus, whatever his flaws, would at least preserve the peace of succession. He was wrong. But he was wrong for reasons that made sense to a man who had spent his entire adult life holding a crumbling world together. The mistake was not in choosing Commodus. The mistake was in believing that preparation could create character, that education could instill virtue, that a throne could make a man worthy of it. Marcus knew better. He had written it himself. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. But he could not make his son be one. And that failure, more than any battle lost, more than any plague survived, is the wound that never healed. A monastery in the Middle Ages. A monk copies a Greek text by candlelight. He does not know who wrote it. He only knows that the words speak to something in his soul, a need for peace, for meaning, for the strength to endure. The meditations survive. This is not inevitable. Marcus wrote them for himself, in Greek, on campaign, probably on wax tablets that were later transcribed. He never intended them to be published. He never intended them to be read. They are the most accidental masterpiece in history. The first mention of them comes in 364 AD, nearly 2 centuries after his death, by the philosopher Themistius. The current Greek title, To Himself, comes from a manuscript that may be a later edition. The text survives through a chain of copies, translations, and near disasters that span 1,000 years. And yet they endure, because they are true. Frederick the Great of Prussia carried them in his campaign kit. Bill Clinton read them during his presidency. Wen Jiabao, the Chinese premier, claimed to have read them more than 100 times. They have been translated into every major language. They are studied in philosophy classes, quoted in self-help books, tattooed on skin, memorized by soldiers, recited by prisoners, whispered by the dying. Why? Because Marcus Aurelius wrote not as an emperor, but as a human being. Because he confessed his failures alongside his aspirations. Because he admitted his anger, his vanity, his fear, and then showed how to move past them. The Meditations are not a philosophy of success. They are a philosophy of survival. And in a world that feels increasingly fragile, survival is the most universal theme of all. The Last Good Man. The equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius, the only surviving bronze statue of a Roman emperor from antiquity, stands in Rome, on the Capitoline Hill, where Michelangelo placed it 5 centuries ago. The emperor sits astride his horse, one hand raised in mercy. He is not triumphant. He is not conquering. He is simply, impossibly calm. Marcus Aurelius is called the last of the 5 good emperors. But what does good mean? He did not conquer new territories. He did not build monuments that endure. He did not reform the laws or change the constitution. He did not leave the empire richer or larger than he found it. He left it poorer, smaller, and sicker, ravaged by plague, exhausted by war, and about to be ruled by a madman. So why is he remembered? Because he ruled with virtue when virtue was not required. Because he governed with reason when reason was not rewarded. Because he endured when endurance was not celebrated. Because he chose duty over desire every day for 19 years in conditions that would have broken lesser men. He was not a perfect emperor. He was not a perfect philosopher. He was not a perfect father. He was a man who tried with every fiber of his being to be good. And in a world of power, where goodness is the hardest choice of all, that attempt is enough. The Roman Empire would last another 300 years in the West, 1,000 in the East. But the Golden Age ended with Marcus. After him, the throne became a prize for generals, a toy for madmen, a grave for the ambitious. The adoptive system that had produced Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus, and Marcus was dead. Hereditary succession, with all its dangers, was now the rule. Marcus was the last chance for Plato's dream, the philosopher king, the man who did not want power, but accepted it, who did not seek glory, but earned it, who did not fear death, but prepared for it. And when he died, on a March morning in a frozen military camp, writing to himself about acceptance, he proved that the dream, while impossible to fully realize, was worth attempting. The question he left behind. Marcus Aurelius left us a question. It is not written in the Meditations, but it is implied in every line. Can a person be good in a world that rewards cruelty? He spent his life answering yes, not with theory, but with action. He was good when it cost him nothing, and he was good when it cost him everything. He was good in peace, and he was good in war. He was good when the world loved him, and he was good when the world took everything he loved. He was not a saint. He was not a hero. He was a man who got up every morning, in pain, in grief, in exhaustion, and chose to do his duty. Who wrote to himself, in the dark, to remind himself that virtue is the only victory. Who died not in a palace, but in a tent, surrounded by soldiers who loved him not because he was emperor, but because he was one of them. If the most powerful man in the world could choose goodness, could you? If a man who lost everything could still write of gratitude, what is your excuse? If a dying emperor could find peace in a frozen tent, what is stopping you? Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations, Book 10.